Welcome back, or welcome to another episode of Nain Shorts here in the lair of the Wandering Ronin, as he wants to be called, which is kind of weird because this is his home. But welcome back, everybody, or to our very loyal viewers. Thank you for sticking with us and subscribe and all that because, yeah. It does help. So if you haven't already, please do hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, get your friends to subscribe, so on and so forth. And let's keep this going. Before we start, again, this beautiful blade made by John Atkinson at Wolf's Den Armory is up for raffle. It's $5 a ticket. You can Venmo Zelle. We'll figure out how to get the money to me and then how to get the blade to those who win. We will be raffling it off in September, so please keep an eye out for that and buy your tickets. Or get your friends to buy your tickets. Either way, we don't mind money, one way or the other. Whether it's yours or somebody else's. But today I wanted to kind of dial back the training and talk about something that we've mentioned before on this show, but it's worth mentioning again. Self-care, right? Personally, I think it's incredibly important. I myself see my chiropractor at least once a month. Earlier than that, if I've had a really rough training week and I'm all banged up, simply because I want to continue doing this for as long as possible. Now, for those of you who don't know, most of my friends are much older than I am, and they grew up in an era where there wasn't a lot of regulations on the training, and blood on the mat was kind of a regular thing, and a lot of them are now extremely banged up. Now, it's not just martial arts. Life itself gets in the way, people fall, have accidents, that sort of thing, and injuries do happen. However, a lot of martial artists, definitely a lot of my friends, were very stubborn, we should say, and continued on with their training despite their issues, despite their injuries, and it may not have served them well. Not only was training at one point a lot more rigorous, a lot more impact, a lot more physically demanding than it is nowadays. I mean, I've heard stories of people training in very hot weather with the heater on because it was part of the conditioning, both mentally and physically, to be able to still perform everything that you know while your brain is being scrambled by the heat. And there's been stories that I've heard about people having full-on sparring matches and their training ground was concrete. I've heard stories where chain link fences was the barrier between the students and the wall, and that only happened after somebody's head left a dent in the wall heater that finally they put chain link fences, but it's still a metal fence. And these were the type of conditions that people trained in. Now, nothing to take away from the practitioners nowadays that are older and are now suffering from the issues that were developed because of that type of training, because they can still kick your ass left and right. And being on the receiving end of many of those instructors, yeah, legitimately so, will kick your ass left and right, up and down, all day long. So it doesn't take away from their ability to use it. Now, however, times have changed, and unfortunately those type of trainings aren't as well received in today's day and age. And me personally, I think it's taken away a bit of the toughness of some practitioners, of their ability to take a punch in a real fight and then still dish it out despite being hurt, because getting hit is getting hit. It hurts no matter what. But there has to be a balance where we have enough of that still, where we can condition ourselves and our students to take a certain degree of punishment simply for the sake of, when you get hit, you don't just ball up and cry, or that one hit ended the fight. You want a bit of toughness, but not to such degree where later on in life your joints are giving out on you, you have no more cartilage left in certain parts of your body, you need to get new shoulders and hips and knees simply because they're just not working for you anymore after all that wear and tear. And a lot of that is now possible in maintaining by seeing regular doctor visits or chiropractor visits. Massage therapy is a big thing. There's a lot of healing arts out there, which honestly I think we need more of. And shit, now I think I need to start incorporating some of that knowledge into what I do, and even passing it on to others, because if we have more people that have some idea of it, maybe they can care for themselves a little bit better so they can last longer. And that becomes so crucial with being able to still do the things that we love, because this is definitely a passion, and I know a lot of people are very passionate about what they do, and physical health is super important to be able to do those things. Exercise is another way that you can limit the amount of injuries that you then develop over time. Flexibility, being able to actually fall and roll, all these things become very important and ultimately are going to save you a lot of issues later on in life. Somebody once at a gathering explained how when they were young everything was hard, everything was hit, 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 when it's not always necessary. And if the training is that, it is, but supplementing it with some sort of outside care outside of the school that can then save your joints, save your bones, save all the little bits that will eventually start falling apart. And I think this is a big testament to the idea of martial arts in a kind of a longer scope of things, because we all know, or we've all met instructors that are well past their prime and still very capable martial artists. They can't do a lot of the things that they once did. They can't throw the kicks that they did before, the roundhouses, all these things, but they still have something about them that makes them very capable of throwing you to the ground or knocking you down. And what that is knowledge, understanding. You can even say it's wisdom that came with their ability to adapt to a changing body. Our bodies aren't going to stay young forever. We can do the best that we can, but they will eventually start falling apart. Some people a lot faster than others because they took no care in their health whatsoever, and they still want to do all the same things that they did before, and it becomes more of a hindrance than anything else. But the ability then to take your knowledge and adapt it to your changing body, that's that wisdom that a lot of these older practitioners now have, that keep them going, that keep them on the mat, that keep them teaching, keep them moving around. And the fact that they're still moving around is probably a great benefit to their health as well. So let's not take that for granted. But what else can we do in our training to make sure that we stay as healthy as possible? It's one thing to be tough, it's another thing to be stupid. If you're injured, you're injured. Heal up, get it treated, look for something that's going to benefit you so then you can come back 100%. Learn to minimize your training so you're not going as hard as you normally do with a twisted ankle, which I've done before, and now that I'm saying it out loud, I feel kind of dumb doing it. I did months of training with my thumb completely just tore up, and it took weeks and weeks of therapy to finally get it back to where it no longer hurts to move around. I no longer have the same range I did with my thumbs. It's not as flexible as it once was. But that was my mistake for not taking the time and vocalizing to the people that I was training with that, hey, this thumb is jacked up. Let's do all the hand stuff on my left hand instead of this one. I mean, there's ways to communicate with others to let them know that we're not 100% in certain areas. And for the most part, a lot of students that I've seen nowadays are very vocal about it, but they're also very stubborn in the sense that they do more than they think they can. And then that becomes another issue, is knowing your limitations, knowing how much you really can do and how much you can't. Being aware of your body's condition and being honest with yourself more than anything. You want to be in class, you want to learn, you want to belt up, you whatever the reason that you're still on the mat, but you definitely want to take the time to realize that perhaps that's not the best thing for you right now. Maybe taking a break, maybe stepping away, really healing up. You can still go to class and be a part of it, but not necessarily participate in the things that are just going to make your injuries worse. And that's a lot to say about then your character of realizing, no, I can't, or I can do this, but I can't do that. Because then you're really looking into yourself and realizing what is and what isn't possible for you at that moment. And that's going to go a long way with the knowledge aspect of the training, and then eventually become the wisdom that you may one day pass on to somebody else. Because a lot of what I get from my friends who again are older practitioners are those tidbits, that bit of knowledge to say, okay, this is what I did, this is what happened, these are the results. Maybe find a different way of doing that. Maybe take care of yourself a little bit more now than I did in my day, and you won't end up as broken as some of these people are. I love them to death, but I definitely wish they could have taken more or better care of themselves. And not just treatment in of your body, but also, eating habits, exercising. They go a long way in making sure that your body is actually healing properly, and changing your habits little by little. It sucks that it isn't until there's a real scare when the doctor says, hey, if you don't cut that out, you're going to die in a few years, if not a few months, that you finally, change your eating habits or start exercising. Because, folks, and I'm not saying it to be a dick to anyone specific, well, maybe one person specifically, but I'm saying it because there is so much to be learned still from people that have aged in the martial arts, that have survived a lot of the crap that we can no longer train in. A lot of my friends have instilled a very old school mentality when it comes to training, but at the same time they've also instilled that red flag to say, hey, you're going to end up a lot worse than you think you are if you don't take care of these issues now. And this goes to the young, the old, it doesn't matter. Whatever you can do now to make tomorrow a little less painful or a little more bearable, or give you a bit more mobility for more years to come than what you're on track doing now, I definitely would recommend it. For me, chiropractor is a big thing. It's one of the doctors that are used the most in professional sports and often not talked about, because a lot of it is about making sure that things don't get worse. And that's the biggest issue that we have with people, and what I've seen just in the chiropractic office. All the issues, all the little things. Oh, it doesn't bother me too much today. Oh, I'm okay today. And tomorrow you can't get up. But then you get a little bit better, and then you keep on going with it, and you never actually treat the issue. Eventually you're going to have to replace parts. And you will have no choice but to do so, and it will limit your mobility. But if you're clever enough and you have enough knowledge, you'll still be a very dangerous person. So that's a plus. But ultimately, we do want you around as long as possible. And for you young people, take care of your ish right now, because it will become a much bigger issue. You're tough, you're young, you heal fast, sure, but that doesn't mean there's not something in there that's not quite right, and it's just going to get worse progressively. And unfortunately, most people don't realize that until there's nothing that can be done to reverse it, only manage. And hopefully this PSA, brought to you by IPC and Nain Shorts. Kali Conversation had nothing to do with this, so don't even point at yourself.
I bet it was brought together by me because of my injuries.
That too. You are the poster child, Rick, of things that could have been avoided had you taken care of your shit way back when. But hey, he brought it up. I wasn't going to mention him.
I can't help it if everybody wants to fight me.
But here we are. I hope that you don't take these words for granted and really try your best to make sure that you stay as healthy as possible so you can be on the mat as long as possible so you can truly get better at your craft. Now, before I go, I just want to remind you, September 30th, the OKO in Pleasanton. It is nearby. You don't have to go to Arizona this time. So make it. Save the date. It's on a Saturday. It's going to be, I think, an all-day thing. I forget the times exactly, but look it up on Facebook at the OKO or through Dennis Duarte, because he has all the information. I believe he is one of the major hosts for this particular OKO. It is the 15th anniversary of this particular gathering. So please make it. Get out there and let's continue training and stay as healthy as possible. Thank you for joining me on another one of Nain Shorts. To the next one. 3, 2, 1, cut!